Hello and welcome along to a festive preview here on the Formbook, looking ahead to all the action across the Christmas period, featuring the King George VI Chase, the Leopardstown Christmas Festival, and plenty more besides. Ash Symonds and Katie Midwinter are going to point you in the direction of a few winners. Yes, lots to look forward to over the Christmas period. Thanks again for your company here on the Formbook. Katie, come to you first. What are you more looking forward to, Christmas dinner or Boxing Day feast?
I love Christmas, so I'm really looking forward to the 25th, but the 26th is really exciting too, and the 27th actually. So it's just the whole period is amazing, and yeah, I can't wait for it.
Good decorations from Katie. Ash, we can't say much for our decorations, but you've got that famous JP McManus scarf. Could history be made at Kempton on Boxing Day?
Very much could be. It's looking like a great race, the King George. And, like Katie said, Christmas Day is almost like the warm-up for Boxing Day, really. I'm really looking forward to it this year. And the King George looks like a proper race. So, if that's not exciting you, then I don't think racing's for you.
Right, let's get into the action then. First off, quick bit of housekeeping. You can watch on the wire our other YouTube preview, King George tips and festive fancies for a lot of the stuff over in Ireland with Andrew Blair White, Dan Overall, Gavin Lynch, Mark Boylan and Don McLean. In terms of what's coming up though, this is what you can enjoy on the channel this week. Aintree, Catterick, Down Rural, Huntingdon, Kempton, Leicester, Leopardstown, Limerick, Market Raising, Musselburgh, Wetherby and Wincanton. Don't miss any of it this week. And on Friday, that says today, but it will be on Boxing Day, Leopardstown, Kempton Park, Aintree, Down Rural, Limerick, Market Raising, Wetherby and Wincanton. And if you are watching this on YouTube, as I hope you are, of course, there will be a dedicated live stream for all the action from Down Rural, Leopardstown and Limerick as usual. So if you love your Irish racing and just want to focus on that, you can watch it all live. Right, let's get to the show then. In terms of what's coming up, first off, let's have a look at the 120. Kitchbull, your favourite for the Kauto Star Novices. Chase, 15-8. Wendingo at 5-2. Salver at 3s. Blue King Daru at 8. 10-1 Crest of Fortune. And 25-1 for Thomas Moore. Now, really, Jimmy DeSoy was 6-4 favourite for this at the 5-day stage. Now you've got a new favourite in Kitchbull, but I thought he was weak in the market enough earlier in the week with Wendigo and Salver ahead of him. Where would you be leaning towards, Katie?
I think Salver is the one in here. It's difficult to oppose him after his race at Sandown. I was really taken by him that day. Didn't really fancy him for it. I thought he did run well behind Lambert at Exeter, and that's a nice piece of form. But I just didn't think he was slick enough over his fences to really fancy him for this race. So I was against him this day, but that was foolish of me because he was really, really impressive. And the step up in trip seemed so easy for him. It was just a brilliant performance. He's a novice as well. He's entitled to just keep on improving. I think he still probably needs to sharpen up his jumping just a little bit. But he was so impressive that day that I just find it difficult to oppose him. I thought Kitchbull did put in a decent performance on Chasing Davy at Punchestown. Turning for home, it looked as though he might be beaten for a second. He fought back really well over the 2 mile 3 furlong trip there, and the Enabler's gone on to enhance that form, winning by 15 lengths in his subsequent start. He looks in need of a trip, so I think the step up in trip will probably suit Kitchbull. And although the downside of his pedigree wouldn't be screaming stayer, he is by Cocorico, who's produced plenty of staying horses, Coloquico, a Grade 1 form in France, and the likes of Coco Beach and Rocco. So he's definitely a danger, but just the way that Salver was able to win that Escher impressed me so much that I'm going to keep him on side.
Ash, we're watching back Kitchbull's when he did nothing wrong, but as I said, look, the market was always going to change when Jimmy DeSoy did come out. But at the same time, I thought he'd the one, if they were both going to run, that I'd want to be with over Kitchbull out of the 2 Mullins horses. So Salver for me as well. What about you if you were having a punt?
Look, I think it's a tight enough race. I just think with Kitchbull, where's the form line to really look at? I'm not really too sold on him, to be honest, as a horse. And he can improve, obviously, for fences. And he's still quite an exposed horse, having only ran 5 times Willie Mullins. But, he came over to Sandown last year. He's beaten over hurdles by Blue King Daru and Salver. I thought, there wasn't too much to say that he couldn't have won that day, and he didn't win. And, he did win first time out, beating Kate Doughty, which is not a bad piece of form. But I don't know, to be a 15-8 fav, I think he's maybe just short because he's Willie Mullins and Paul Townend in the Donnelly Silks. I thought it was a very competitive race. It's not one I'm going to be having really a strong view on. But I just think that Thomas More is a massive price now at 25s. Like I think maybe he has got handicaps in mind for future in the season, so that might be one thing to consider. But I did think he was very good at Ascot, and maybe lucky place, disappointed that day. He sort of went a bit too hard too early, and then sort of fell into a hole. But he was very good. He jumped really nicely, and I think you need that around Kempton. Some slick jumping, right-handed, can go a nice clip. And I was listening to Tom Bull on the channel the other day, and he sort of put up Thomas More and said he's a big price, and I thought, surely he's talking rubbish. But actually, I think he might be on something here. So if I was to have a play in the race, because I think it's competitive enough, I might just have something each way. Very small money on Thomas More.
Okay, Thomas More at 25, Salver for Katie and myself for Gary and Josh Moore. Next up, the Christmas Hurdle, and Gino is back. 4-7 favourite Sir Gino, 7-2 Golden Ace, Celtic Dino at 11-2, 20-1 Rubo, 33-1 for Tripoli Flyer, and Give It To Me OJ at 50-1. Right, Ash, let's come to you first. Sir Gino, is he going to have and retain all the ability? Is there a glint in Hendo's eye that he's back?
I think there is, actually. And, Nick Henson hasn't shied away from the fact that he thinks it's one of the best horses he's had for a very, very long time. And, he's been so impressive on all of his starts, really. And, I suppose it's different, really, because he's not coming back from a setback as such. He's coming back from an illness. I think that's sort of the point that Nick Henson made in the week. And I think it's a very valid one because, it's not like a physical injury that he's had to, like, his leg or his tendons or anything. He has just had, like, a really, really bad illness with colic and everything. And I think they've had, as much as he would have had an interrupted preparation for sort of basically all of last year and coming into it and through the summer and stuff, I think they have had in mind that they're happy to return him at Christmas in whichever race it was. So it's not like the Fighting Fifth last year where he's sort of like, oh, Constitution Hill's gone, right, you're going to that race. I think it's sort of a case of we will run him at Kempton, where we go over hurdles or fences, that's where we'll decide. I think Constitution Hill obviously has helped in the fact that they then can come to this race with Con Hill not here. So I think he will win. I think he's the classiest horse in this race. If I was to put one for second, I actually think Celtic Dino would have a chance. I thought he was good at Ascot last time out. He didn't lose much in defeat to Woodhu, and he was very good in the Welsh Champion Hurdle at the start of the season, beating Alexi, and that form looks very, very nice. So I thought if there was one book for second, it would be Celtic Dino.
Okay, forecast then for Ash. What about yourself, Katie? Are you with Gino?
I am, yeah. I'm a really big fan of the horse. He looks pretty special. It would be great to see him back in action. It's a shame things haven't worked out with Constitution Hill in the Fighting Fifth, so he misses out. But Sir Gino is more than a capable substitute. Just hoping that he'll be in the same form of old after a long layoff. He has had his issues, but if the same Sir Gino turns up ready to go, I think he's going to be really, really difficult to beat. But there is a horse in here I thought was quite a big price, and that's Tripoli Flyer. I'm quite excited to see him back over hurdles now. He was clearly a really talented hurdler last season, beat Celtic Dino in the Devcut over this course and distance. I don't think chasing has really been his bag this season so far, so I'm glad to see him back over flights. I just think he was a bit of a big price. If he can return to the force of old over hurdles, he might be able to sneak into the second place.
Okay, 33-1. Tripoli Flyer then could be a spring up for Katie. Right, next up, it's time for the big one, the King George VI Chase. 5-2 favourite Gaelic Warrior, 3-1 Factor File, 4-1 for Django Bai, 6-1 for the Jukebox Mangello at 10s, defending champ at 14s Banbridge, Ile Francais, last year's runner-up at 16-1, Master Chewy the Ruffy at 66s. Right, we all fancy something different here. So, ladies first, Katie, who do you like?
I'm a big fan of Gaelic Warrior, and I think he's going to be tough to beat if he's on a really going day. And I think Kempton is going to suit him so much. He does seem to have a preference for a right-handed track. He's usually a good jumper, so I don't think that'll be an issue at all for him. He's just such a talented horse, and we were absolutely spoilt in the John Durkan last month. Amazing run against Factor File. I thought he was looking as though he was going to be beaten, but he showed such a great attitude once he was headed by Factor File. He's clearly a really talented horse in his own right. He just showed such a great attitude to fight back, so much tenacity. And I just love his attitude. He's so versatile as well. We saw him winning the Arkle a couple of years ago over the minimum trip, but he then went and won over 3 mile 1 at Aintree last season. Soft ground, heavy ground. Remember the Limerick race a couple of years ago, memorable race that he won there in heavy ground. He can do it on decent ground as well. I think there's so much to like about him. When he's on a going day, he's really, really tough to beat. And I just hope that this is going to be a going day for him.
Okay, Gaelic Warrior for Katie. Ash?
Yeah, I really like Gaelic Warrior as a horse, and I think this has been this is sort of 2 years in the making really for Gaelic Warrior. They sort of tried to make him an Arco horse, and he obviously was an Arco horse, and they tried to make him a Champion Chase horse, and then it didn't really go for him. But I really see the case, and to be honest with the Irish horses, Gaelic Warrior would be the one for me over Factifal. I do have a small concern about Factifal's staying power. I am buying into that argument, but Django Bay has been a horse that I've had in mind for staying trips, this kind of race for quite a long time, actually, ever since he ran second in a handicap hurdle at Aintree at the National Festival, and that will be one of Britain's best staying novice chasers next year. And ultimately, he obviously went and won the Arco, so that's the natural progression to be a staying novice chaser, clearly. But he has improved, I think, for going up in trip. And I think with him, he's got £9 to find with Gaelic Warrior and £8 to find with Factifal on official ratings, which is a lot, but he is still improving. He's still 6, so he's still very much at the improving age. And that was his first run of the season at Ascot, where I think he would have needed it. And so he can come on for that. And also he can definitely improve for stepping up in trip. Whereas I think Gaelic Warrior and Factifal have reached their peak. They're at their peak now. So there is a very big chance that Django Bay can bridge the gap between the two horses. And what I thought was very good in the John Durkan last time out between Factifal and Gaelic Warrior, it was a hard race. The two went hammer and tong for a long, long time from the front, and just wonder if that might have some effect on them. I don't think it will, but Gaelic Warrior has shown in the past that he can throw in a little bit of a googly here and there. So I thought Django Bay was the solid option here, and it's a bit of loyalty, to be honest, on my part, and it is sometimes a worrying thing in horse racing to be punting with your heart rather than your head. I think it's very much a head selection with Django Bay. I think there's a lot to like about him. His jumping's his biggest asset. He is arguably the best jumper in this field. I think that'll really come to his forte, and I think he can sit in behind horses. So that's the head part of it, but the heart part of it is this is a race I've had in mind for a while, so I'm not ditching him at the 11th hour. So it's Django Bay for me, and I do fancy him.
Django Bay then for Ash. Factifal for me. I think he's tailor-made for Kempton. The concern I have is similar to Ash in terms of that was a hard race to John Durkan. Was it a bit too hard, though, on Gaelic Warrior? Yes, Factifal had to make up a lot of ground, but Gaelic Warrior had to do a lot from the front. And I'm just hoping that maybe Factifal round an easier 3 miles than he's ever going to get round, for example, at Cheltenham, where maybe he wouldn't stay the extra 3 mile too. He's already won a Brown Advisory at the track as well. I just think he's got that blend of speed and stamina to hopefully see off the rest of these over this 3 mile trip. The big danger for me is Django Bay. Can't have Gaelic Warrior. Too concerned about that, about the John Durkan. Django Bay could be a real player. And the Jukebox Man. No one's mentioned the Jukebox Man yet. I know Katie likes one each way as well, but the Jukebox Man's done nothing wrong. Already won the Kauto Star. Ben Paulding seems pretty bullish. I know Ash went and saw him last week. He's confident of a big show, but I'll be with Factifal. But Katie, another one each way that you're going to give a choice to?
Yeah, I do think the Jukebox Man will make the frame. I think he's good enough to do that. I see him running a really big race. But I do really fancy Le Francais each way. Again, if he turns up on a going day, he has become unreliable. But he did pull up before this race last year, and he finished a brilliant second to Banbridge. I thought he was quite unfortunate. I was cheering him on, screaming for him to keep on going. But Banbridge just came there late and got in front. But I thought it was a brilliant run. And in a couple of years ago in the Kauto Star, he just made such an impression on me. I thought it was a phenomenal performance, one of the best performances I've really seen by a horse. The way that he was just able to jump around those fences, it was fantastic. So I can't desert him back at Kempton. This is his track. It seems to really, really suit him. So hopefully third time lucky for him once again, his third run here. I hope that he'll be able to bounce back from his Ascot run.
Okay, Le Francais then each way for Katie, along with her nap, which is Gaelic Warrior. Ash is with Django Bay. And why not? Bit of Factifal. Let's take each other on in the King George. Right, that's a selection for the feature race. Remember, you can watch that live on Racing TV. Before we preview some of the other action, any other fancies at Kempton on the rest of the card? Katie, a horse you've put up before on the show.
Yeah, you can't be serious in the opening race. He's up £11 for his chasing debut now, up £6 for his latest win over Donica, Exeter. But he's still improving, so I think he can keep on continuing his progression. He's a big, strapping horse. He's a gorgeous horse, and I think there's still a lot more to come from him. So I'm hoping that he'll be able to continue improving and make the step up into this race and keep on the great form that he's currently in.
Okay, that's You Can't Be Serious. Here's his penultimate win. Couldn't show you the latest one because the camera was soaked. But there is You Can't Be Serious. Maybe Johnny Mack might be on that one. That goes in the 12:45 at Kempton. You Can't Be Serious. And for yourself, Ashley?
It's a bout of deja vu, because that day, the last day that we couldn't see, I put up Donica, and You Can't Be Serious beat Donica. So I'm taking on Katie again in the same race. I'm going to take 2 darts in that race, the opening race, the Novices Handicap Chase. Tapley and Epic West, the 2 I'm going to take each way. I'll start with Tapley. I think he's a nice horse. You know, he's probably not still improving at the same time, because he is an 8-year-old, so he's probably just on that sort of peak right now. But I thought he was good at Wincanton 2 starts ago. He jumped them for fun, really, really nice. And I think the sort of style of track's going to really suit him at Kempton. I think he can get into a nice rhythm from the front and just, you know, hopefully get into a good spin of things. I see Charlie Deutsch is jocked up, which is a nice little nod, and I'd probably give Tapley a bit of a chance each way. But then Epic West, just quite unexposed, very different types of Tapley. I think Tapley's maybe a touch more exposed, but is a quality horse and can go well. Epic West has not run over fences yet. It had 2 spins in the point-to-point, 3 spins over hurdles. He won his second start in point-to-point, 1, 2 starts over hurdles. Was disappointing at Fontwell, but I think he's a horse who's riddled with talent. He's off a mark of 118. That seems like a fine mark to me. Gavin Sheen's dropped out for Jamie Snowden. I think this is the kind of race where Jamie Snowden would have gone and looked at all of his horses at the start of the season, and he's gone, right, Epic West is a well handicapped. Let's go for a Novices Handicap Chase rather than beginner's chase and potentially ruin his mark. So I think he could definitely be a horse who, like, I wouldn't be shocked if he's rated 10 or 15 pounds better by the end of the season. So I have to back him, even if it's first start of the season. Epic West, I'll give a chance to in the same race. So 2 from each way to take on Katie, though I think Katie might be onto a winner there. Epic West and Tapley.
Okay, Tapley, as Ash has just said, and Epic West. And as we mentioned, Katie's selection is You Can't Be Serious. Right, that's a look at Kempton, but there's lots more action to enjoy over the Christmas period. Here's what's coming up.
And it will be Banbridge in the King George. Banbridge wins the Ladbrokes King George. Constitution Hill, he's back, and he's the first ever 3 times winner of a Ladbrokes Christmas Hurdle.
Sam Twister Davis on Potter's Charm will win the William Hill Formby. 50 yards to go. It is Romeo Coolio here. Joseph O'Brien again in the big time. As Solness and JJ Slevin make all. It is Gallopin Nation holding off back to 5. He's unbeatable over fences here at Leopardstown.
But it's Imperi Pass who's streaking clear and going on by some 3 to 4 lengths.
Yeah, don't miss any of it live on Racing TV this Christmas. Right, 105 Aintree next up, 2 to 5 Fab, My Daddy Paddy for the Formby, 9 to 2 Idaho Sun, Star Mount at 15 to 2, Diamond Hunter at 14s, Glance at Midnight and Storming George at 33s, The Last Cloud at 50s, Waran at 100 to 1. That's been an interesting year, but on my bingo card, Divock Origi, or a fake Divock Origi, suggesting that we wouldn't see My Daddy Paddy run this festive period. Matt Chapman falling for it. Dan Skelton being filmed this morning, having to deny that My Daddy Paddy wasn't fit. Well, he is fit. He was galloping this morning. Ash, what's going on?
Yeah, like, I feel for Chappers at the same time. Like, it's obviously, he's just been flicking through Twitter. It's the guy who, or whatever account it was, tagged him, and it seemed like, you know, it seemed a little bit off, like the actual wording of the tweets and everything. And obviously Chappers has just been tagged in it, and he probably just put 2 and 2 together, flying at 1,000,000 miles an hour around Lingfield, and he's just mentioned it. But I do feel for him. Like, obviously, you know, as media and journalist people, we do have to sort of check things. But yeah, I don't think there's anything cynical here from Chappers or anything like that. But I do feel for him. But yeah, like, My Daddy Paddy, he's obviously going to be very hard to beat in this, and I'm not going to be having a play against him. I'm not going to have a play on him because he's at a very short price. He was quite a nice price anti-post if you could get anything on, to be honest. I think he was a 5 to 4 on. I think he actually even opened up odds against, which was nice. But I do like him. I like him a lot. We just saw the video there. I thought he was very, very slick over his last 2 hurdles there. He was good, especially at the last. He found a stride. He jumped it really nicely. And I like how Dan Skelton's talking about the horse. He's not sort of getting, you know, really overexcited, trying to claim this is the best horse ever trained, but he is saying at the same time, you know, this is a very, very good horse. He's sort of letting the horse almost speak for himself on the track, and as much as Divock Origi might be trying to talk a little bit about the horse online, seems like My Daddy Paddy's showing enough on the track to keep us very warm this Christmas. So I think he's a very, very live player in the Supreme, and by that I think he's probably going to win it if nothing comes through the woodwork. So I like him, and obviously he should be winning this weekend, and if he's not, then the alarm bells bells will be ringing.
And Katie, do you agree? My Daddy Paddy, tough to oppose in the Formby?
Yeah, I do think he's the most likely winner. Everything just seems so easy for him at the moment. He's such an efficient hurdler too, and still unexposed and lightly raced. I think he's really exciting, and hopefully he'll be able to put in a really good performance and enhance his claims for the Supreme. But I do like a horse who I think is at 50 to 1 currently against him, hopefully to follow him home, but finish in the frame at least. And that's the Last Cloud. He is more exposed than those towards the top of the market, and his price kind of reflects that. Maybe outclassed by them too, but he does have a bit of graded form coming into the race. Finished a length and a half fourth to Fortune de Mare in a Cheltenham Grade 2 in October at the showcase meeting. Fortune de Mare has gone on to frank that form. He looks an exciting type for Dan Skelton as well, and I think he could potentially be well in come the handicaps at the Cheltenham Festival in March. The Last Cloud is just such a likeable horse. He's stunning to look at. He's a real eye catcher in the paddock before the race. He will really stand out. He's a gorgeous grey. And I think he emerged with a lot of credit from the race at Cheltenham. He was asked a few questions by Brian Hughes, and so he was in the process of responding before he was completely stopped in his tracks, really lost momentum. And I don't think he was able to show the maximum of his ability that day. Had previously won his three previous races, including in 2 handicaps carrying top weight. He's a progressive horse. He's on an upward trajectory. And I just think at a big price, he might just be worth taking a chance on each way. May not be as classy as some of the others in here, but he's a tough little horse. And I'd really love to see him run a big race.
Okay, that's the Last Cloud at 50s then in the Formby. What about the Rowland Meyrick? That's the feature over at Wetherby. 6 to 4 Fab is Confusion. 3 to 1 Marble Sands. Nappers Hill at 4s. Our Power at 6s. And Butch is 8 to 1. This is for me one of the best bets of Boxing Day. I've gone in early, but I think this Confusion is open to any amount of untold improvement. Already got a win at Wetherby on the CV this season. This was a good performance. I thought Jump for Fun as well. Parkinson and Smith, 23% strike rate in the last couple of weeks. This lad then absolutely hosed up by 15 lengths in the rehearsal. He's going to have to improve again. He was 115 when winning this, but then 126. He's gone up 10 pounds, but that might not stop him. He looks open to stacks more improvement, and 6 to 4 I was on at 3 to 1 when the market came out. Pretty strong on Confusion. What about yourself though, Katie? You're taking me on.
I am. It does look a trappy little race. I think Confusion is a horse who's on the up, so you've got a definite chance there. But I quite like Nappers Hill for Paul Nicholls. Thought it was a really good performance behind the Jukebox Man at Haydock. That was his return to action after a 742-day absence. And he was only beaten 8 lengths. So I think he's entitled to show any amount of improvement for that run. He was side by side with Iroko, jumping the second last. Just got a bit tired late on, but he's obviously gone on to frank that form. Maybe the Jukebox Man will really enhance the form on Boxing Day as well. He does have to really prove his stamina over this trip, stepping up to 3 miles here, but if he can take a step forward from his latest run and prove that he still has retained ability, I think he's on a handy enough mark of 145. He's a graded performer. He's unexposed in handicap still. He's very classy on his day, and he's still lightly raced over fences. So I just thought that he maybe could come on plenty for his recent run and be on a workable enough mark, and just lurking in there maybe could take on Confusion and put in a really good effort and pose a threat.
Nappers Hill then for Katie, Confusion for me in the Rowland Meyrick. Right, we'll be looking ahead to the Leopardstown Christmas Festival and getting the guys' best bets for all of the action over the Boxing Day and the 27th, 28th. But you know what it is on Boxing Day. Here we go.
It's going to win the King George. Thistlecrack is the champion of Christmas.
Best Place is showing courage to match his guard, and Best Place wins the King George.
Flanders Ovo is 10-12 lengths clear of Surname, Footpad and then Aso, and it's a second King George for Flanders Ovo.
And it's Banbridge and Port Townend who now swoop and take the lead, and it will be Bowbridge in the King George.
Watch history being made. Rolls of applause. The King's in his counting house. There's an organ the winner.
The steeple chaser of a lifetime. Kauto Star is in front. Long runs closing, but Kauto Star has done it. He's won 5 King Georges.
Yeah, watch the King George VI Chase live at Kempton on Boxing Day, live on Racing TV. Well, there's a feast of action, of course, over at Leopardstown and Limerick over the festive period in Ireland. As I mentioned, there'll be that on YouTube, that live stream on the 26th. You can watch all the action for Leopardstown, Limerick and Downwell uninterrupted. I've asked the guys, though, to give me their quick fire winners of these clashes. So, Ash, I'm going to come to you first. Romeo Coolio versus Salvatore Mundi versus July Flower.
Romeo Coolio, I think, will win. I think he'll take a bit of whacking in that.
Marine National versus Madgeborough versus Only by Night versus another horse, Founder 50.
Marine National is the first time I'm going to back him, I think, ever in my life. I think he'll win, and Only by Night's definitely got a great chance each way. I'll be playing both of them.
La Devant Enfin versus Love Me Tender versus Skylight Hustle versus Cocktail Brew.
Really impressed by what Skylight Hustle did last time out. I'd be with him. I thought he was very, very good on hurdling debut.
Ballyburn versus TU potentially versus Bob Ollinger.
Ballyburn quite strongly, actually. I think he was unlucky not to win last time out, and I actually think the step up and trip will help him.
Galopin de Champs versus I Know the Way You're Thinking versus Fast or Slow.
This is obviously the more interesting race, I think, of all of them. I think Galopin de Champs might just need it, although it would take the house down if he won. I Know the Way You're Thinking is probably building from Cheltenham. I think he will come on for the John Durkan, but I'm happy to leave him. So that leaves Fast or Slow, who ran Galopin de Champs very, very close in the 2024 Irish Gold Cup. And that was when Galopin de Champs was probably at his absolute best, absolute peak. And I think Fast or Slow would definitely come on for the John Durkan. I like him in the Savills.
Lossiemouth versus Brighter Days Ahead, and then potentially versus Amsterdam and Woodoo.
Lossiemouth, but it's not attractive at the prices.
And out of all of those, is there one or two that you're particularly strong on? Ballyburn, would he be the one? Who would it be?
Ballyburn, yeah, I think he's not a working man's price, but I really do like him. I think he was slightly unlucky here. Not unlucky, but I think he was, he was ahead before the line, he was ahead after the line, but it just happened to be on the head bob that he wasn't in front. And I thought he was really, really good. And as much as people won't like his sort of tendencies to be a little bit keen and the fact he mows grass, so I think he is obviously a horse riddled of ability. I mean, we're talking about Sir Gino earlier on. He was trying to lay up Sir Gino's gallop, but he just couldn't. But he is a very classy horse. So Ballyburn, I do like in that, and probably Scarlet Hustle on the Champion Novice. I thought he was really, really impressive. I liked the way he was so measured at his hurdles, and he was almost like a little bit of a ballerina. He was quick on his feet and just went away from the hurdles afterwards. I like it when a horse just sprints clear, and he was good. You just jump him here, and he's straight onto the gallop again. Very, very impressive. Le Divin Enfant's going to be very, a strong contender, and sort of similar case can be made for him in the fact he was spring-heeled at his hurdles, but I thought Scarlet Hustle was very impressive. And I liked Gordon Elliott's comments immediately after where he was like, yep, Grade 1, Christmas, Leopardstown, see you there. So Scarlet Hustle, yeah, those two would be the strong ones. But I do fancy Marine National, Only by Night, and Fast or Slow.
Okay, I think Scarlet Hustle's around 4-1 for that Future Champions, and then Ballyburn, I think they're 11-8 favs a piece. So there you go. Katie, you know what's coming. Romeo Coolio versus Salvatore Mundi versus July Flower.
I like July Flower a lot, but I think Romeo Coolio in this one.
Marine National versus Madgeborough versus Only by Night versus Founder 50.
If it rains, Founder 50, but Dino Blue was really unlucky. She ran a brilliant race in her previous run with Founder 50. She made a bad mistake, ran a brilliant race considering that. So if it stays dry, Dino Blue.
La Devant Enfin versus Love Me Tender versus Scarlet Hustle.
Don't have an overly strong opinion. Interesting race. I probably have a slight preference for Love Me Tender.
Ballyburn versus TU versus Bob Ollinger.
I'm with Ash there. I'm a big fan of Ballyburn. I think he'll come on for his run in the Hatton's race. Was quite unlucky, really. Finished strongly. I think he's probably the one for the Staying Hurdles division this season.
Galopin de Champs, I know the way you're thinking, Fast or Slow.
Has to be Galopin de Champs. Love the horse, reigning champion. Probably will come on for the run, but this is Galopin's race. I can't be against him.
And Lossiemouth, Brighter Days Ahead, Amsterdam and Woodoo in the December herd.
Lossiemouth, I think she's the classiest horse in this field. She's a gorgeous horse, really talented, hard to beat.
And out of all of those races, what's the one horse you're really looking forward to or you'd want to be with?
Probably Ballyburn, I think, same as Ash. I just thought he ran a brilliant race in the Hatton race. Unfortunate to be beaten, but I'm really happy that he's back over hurdles now. I don't think chasing was quite his bag. Did do quite well over fences, but not as well as he was over hurdles the previous season. So hopefully the best is still to come from him.
Just briefly, Ash, Katie says Galopan. You're with Fast or Slow. Just a reminder why.
Just like with Fast or Slow, I thought he was like he may be a better horse right hand. I actually think it's very interesting they're coming here and not going to Kempton for the King George. I think it's probably actually an easy race. That's probably why they decided it. And I think Martin Braswell's had it in his mind for a while that he wants to win a Grade 1 around Leopardstown. You know, he had for a long time that he thought he wanted to go and win Punchestown Gold Cup. He did. And like Galopan de Champs, like, you know, I think this race here, I mean, there's two pieces of legendary commentary from the last sort of 12 months. This one from Jerry Hannon, and when Galopan de Champs wins the Irish Gold Cup, it's just fantastic commentary. And it really, like, you know, as for the horse itself, a great performance, but he has had tendencies to come on for his first runs of the season as he's been getting older. Yes, that's been over 2.5 miles on the John Durkin, so he has probably needed it, and the conditions haven't been to his suiting. So I do understand that, but just with the fact he's had a small setback, and, you know, you listen to, like, Ruby Walsh was talking the other day, I think, and you listen to other bits and pieces. I think they're expecting a lot of improvement to come in, and they think that there's one chance they've got to win 3 Gold Cups for Galopan de Champs, and it's this year, because they won't be doing it in 2027. It's fairly unrealistic. So are they going to want to throw it away by winning a Savills Chase, getting him 110% for it? I don't think so. As much as this is a big race to win, I think they'll slowly build him up. Irish Gold Cup next, Gold Cup in Cheltenham. So that's why I'd be happy to take on Galopan de Champs, as much as I would be absolutely beaming from ear to ear if he did win. I know the way you're thinking. I don't know if his Leopardstown record is good enough to back him in this. So then it just points to Fast or Slow, who does have a fine record on Leopardstown based on the Irish Gold Cup in 2024. So, yeah, the more I talk about it, the more I get sweeter on Fast or Slow. I think they've been building towards this for a while, I think.
But Katie, Formbook viewers are going to be saying, neither of them like the Gold Cup champion. What's wrong with him? What are you both thinking?
Yeah, I just wasn't really impressed by him the last day. Gavin Cromwell Yard has come into a bit of form, so I think he's entitled to improve for his first run. But I just think he will be building up to March as well. The same as Galopan de Champs will, but I just think this is Galopan's race to lose, really. And as much as I think he will probably take a step forward from it, I think he's just going to be really tough to beat in it. And I so much don't want that form to be confirmed. I really want Galopan to reverse the form, so I just have to be with Galopan.
Okay, 7-4 Fav at the moment. I know you're thinking 2-1. I think Galopan de Champs, and Fast or Slow is at 4-5-1. Right, finally time then after this for any other business and the guys' big naps across Boxing Day and the rest of the action.
Keep up to date with all the latest news via the Racing TV social media channels. Our X, Facebook and YouTube channels will keep you up to speed with race replays, interviews and plenty more bonus content. Engage with other users to discuss the key talking points in the sport, enter competitions, get expert tipping insight and catch up on breaking news from the Racing TV website. Let our Instagram and TikTok channels bring you closer to the action with a range of immersive, engaging and educational content. Racing TV's social media channels already have over 1 million followers as we aim to give you access to the action at your fingertips. Wherever you are in the world, you can stay ahead of the pack by following us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube and Threads. Join us now by following Racing TV on social media today.
Yeah, the social media manager would appreciate it if you gave all those a follow. Right, Ash, let's go to you first for your selections on Boxing Day. You like a few at Aintree by looks of things.
Yeah, I've taken a stronger look at Boxing Day and sort of had a glance at the other days, which I might mention afterwards. But 26th, Aintree, 12:30, Josh the Boss. I didn't think it was like an overly amazing race. And I thought Josh the Boss, as much as he's had an interesting start to fences because he's not really faced many opponents. I think he won a walkover. He was beaten on chasing debut in a 2-runner race, and then he won a 4-runner race last time out. I did think he was good at Doncaster. I thought he built on his run at Warwick before that. And obviously, you know, you can't really build on a walkover, but I thought he was good, and he's up to a mark of 132, which I don't think will stop him too much. He was only up £7 to the win last time out, and I thought he could go quite close in the 12:30, depending on what the price is. There's no real price for Aintree as we speak currently, so I think everything will be price dependent, but I'd probably be siding with Josh the Boss in the 12:30. The 140 Indavar Blue is here for Ollie Murphy. I thought ran a really, really nice race in the Joe Fielden last time out behind Tutti Quanti. I actually think this race was very smart because speaking to Paul Nichols at the start of the season, they thought Tutti Quanti was actually rated 140 when they were doing this pre-stable tour, and then Charlie St. Quinton, his assistant trainer, had to remind him that he was actually rated in the 130s. He was like, oh, even better. So I think he just ran into a very well handicapped Tutti Quanti that day, and Indemnity was the horse I liked. I thought he ran a good race, but just was beaten by two nice horses. I think he's up to a mark of 129 now, so he's giving £3 for his win. His second in the Joe Fielden. I don't think that'll stop him. I think he's still an exposed horse, and he is a horse that Ollie Murphy thought a lot of as a novice hurdler. Probably hasn't lived up to the hype, but 129 could be seeing him win in the handicap as he's sort of maturing and getting older. And in the 215, I kind of like two, but probably Kelsey's my stronger play in this. I think he's still this unexposed horse we don't really know too much about. He is running a nice race at Market Race and 5 starts to go behind O'Connell before falling at the last, and O'Connell was rated 115 at the time. He's improved massively, and is the idea some people's ideas of the Welsh National winner. So I thought that was a good race, and he's ran a nice race at Cheltenham in the October meeting. I think heavy ground didn't really suit him in the November meeting, but I think this kind of race will suit him nicely. And Toby McCain Mitchell's on board, claiming £5. I think that's a nice jockey to have in the saddle. I think he's just, he's going to be effectively running 112. That'd be good for him. So Kelsey in that race, but just a small shout out to Dubai Days. Don't know what price he'll open up at. I imagine it'll be actually quite a big price. He's down to mark 124. That's his last winning mark. He showed a good bit of ability when winning at Haydock 5 starts ago, and then ran a nice race behind Credo at Carlisle. So I thought Dubai Days was the each way angle. I actually think Kelsey might be an each way price. I don't know what price he can open up at, but both of them, Kelsey and Dubai Days, in the 12.15. And that's me for Boxing Day. I might have a couple more for the rest of the Christmas period, though.
We'll save your nap, though, Ash. Let's go for your Welsh National pick, though. Who do you like there?
Yeah, annoyingness that Sam Thomas didn't include Show Manucci. I think there might have been, I don't know what's happened, why the horse wasn't declared, but I've substituted in Dom of Mary for James Owen. Just thinking an interesting horse. Only had the 2 starts for James Owen so far, and ran some decent races and sort of building towards a race like this. Won at Newcastle last time out, beating Zertact, and that form looks nice now. Zertact having won at Cheltenham, I do think Zertact almost threw the towel in as such, rather than Dom of Mary doing well to get past. But I think it was probably a bit of both, really. I thought he was good, and he motored on past quite nice off a mark 124. He's only up £4 to that. I think that's just leaving him a little bit unexposed still, really. He was good on stable debut at Kelso and being third. I thought that was fine, and I do think it's a trainer upgrade coming from David Bridgewater to James Owen. So hopefully James Owen can continue to get some improvement out of the horse, and wouldn't be surprised if he's getting very competitive for mark of 128. And do you want me to save my nap, you say, Danny?
Yeah, go for it. Go on, Ash.
Oh, right. I've talked myself into this, and it's a big race to go for. So, be careful here. But Leopardstown, the Paddy Power Chase, Captain Cody is the horse I like. Off top weight, it seems, but I just think he won the Scottish National so impressively. I think he could have won by 20 lengths, not just a length. And he was really good that day. He's up £10, but he ran a nice race in the Drinmore on season reappearance. He only beaten less than 10 lengths by Romeo Coolio, and Romeo Coolio is probably going to go and oblige in the 2-mile Grade 1. He's obviously back to his optimum conditions now. He showed that he was a graded horse in novice hurdles, but he's still been a slow developing horse. He's developed now into a really, really smart chaser, and I can see him running a huge, huge race in the Paddy Power, and he's a big price to find out, 14-1. I think it's very interesting they brought Harry Cobden over for the Drinmore. I don't suspect that Harry Cobden will be on this time, so he'll probably have Paul Nichols' obligations over in the UK, but I wouldn't be surprised if this horse turns into a national type in time, and I think he can still be competitive with mark for 150. So as much as top weight is going to be difficult, Captain Cody in the Paddy Power has been a horse I've taught myself into labelling as my nap.
Right. So you've got Josh the Boss in the 12.30 at Aintree, Indiva Bleu in the 140, Kelsey and Dubai Days in that 2.15 at Aintree, in the Welsh National Dom of Mary, and in the Paddy Power Chase, his nap is Captain Cody. Right, Katie, what about yourself?
In the 140 at Aintree, I like Dedicated Hero. I really liked him in bumpers and as a novice hurdler. Actually finished third to Romeo Coolio in a point-to-point. That's worked out to be a nice piece of form. I thought he ran a really good race in the Great Wood to finish 7th. It looked like he was likely to just be tailed off, turning for home. But the fact that he stayed on really well to finish 7th, I thought was promising. Probably wants a bit further than 2 miles as well. Don't think he quite stayed 3 miles at Perth in the spring. So I think this intermediate distance distance, 3.5 miles will be perfect for him. And I think he's still potentially well handicapped on a mark of 127, still really unexposed in handicaps as well. He's been dropped a couple of pounds for his latest run, won a grade 2 at Haydock last season. So I think there's more to come from him in handicaps this year. So I'm keen on his chances at Aintree. And then over at Leopardstown, there's a couple I like in the 225 on Boxing Day, St. Stephen's Day. It's a really competitive handicap. But the first is the Folks Tiara for Henry de Bromhead. He won the race a couple of years ago from a £3 lower mark, was only narrowly beaten in it 12 months ago from 131. Did have a £7 claim and Ethan O'Sullivan on board that day. But I think he's on a workable enough mark. Things haven't really gone his way this year, and his mark has slipped as a result of that. But I think excuses can be made for many of his runs. You know, he hasn't really been in a position to threaten often, and he was really badly hampered at Wexford in his penultimate start. So I think he's a horse that could prove worth keeping the faith in, particularly considering his record in this race. The other one is Don't Go Yet. He's a veteran now, 11-year-old, rising 12. He is getting on a bit, but he hasn't been over race, only his 33rd career start, and he's been in great form throughout this year. I think the fact that he's been able to compete in really tough handicaps will bode well for his chances here. Since his reappearance at Galway at the beginning of last season, that was after a 304-day break, he has form figures of 5, 4, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, and most of those in really competitive handicaps, including the second to Petit Tonnerre in a listed race at the Punchestown Festival last season, was 4th in listed company at Fairy House when last seen as well. I think a mark of 125 is workable enough for him, such a likeable horse. Despite being in the twilight of his career now, I think he's still able to perform to a high level. And then in the Welsh National, I'm going to go for where it all began at this stage. Hopefully he gets declared. I don't think we saw the best of him in this race last year. He does have to bounce back from a disappointing run of form. Form figures do leave a lot to be desired, but I think we'll get a bigger price as a result of that. I've always thought this horse had the potential to win a big race like this. He's such a dour stayer, and I think soft ground really suits him. So this should be a good test for him. It didn't work out last year, but I think he'll fare much better off a workable enough mark of 129. And then in the Paddy Power Chase as well, Pied Piper is a huge price currently, so hopefully he turns up there. He does have a jockey on currently in the entry stage, so hopefully will be declared. I think he can put a complete line through his latest run behind Romeo Coolio. Couldn't really get involved at all, but he was way far back and he just wasn't really able to make any impact. But he finished a decent 5th to Answer Cave at Nav in the time before that. I've been really impressed by him in his last few runs over these staying trips, by his latest run. But I thought the 3 miles might quite test his stamina, really. But he's really impressed me, and I think he has enough class to be winning a handicap of this nature. Did really well in his first try over 3 mile 1 at Cheltenham a couple of months ago now, and a really good run in his subsequent starts. So I think from a mark of 144, he could be quite dangerous. Such a classy horse. He's got a great attitude. He's taken to chasing really well also. So I think there's a lot to like about his chances at a huge price. I think he's around 50 to 1 currently. Fingers crossed he does turn up there. I think he could run a big race.
Some big selections then for Katie over the course of a couple of days. Gaelic Warrior, the Nap, the Reminder, and then you've got Dedicated Hero, each way in that 140. Folks Tiara and Don't Go Yet in that 255. Welsh National, Where It All Began, and Pied Piper in the Paddy Power. Right, I'll finish by giving you a few losers. First up's the Nap, Rip Wheeler, 2:38 p.m. Wincanton. This guy is upwardly mobile and, in my opinion, should absolutely hose up. Robbie Dunn, the machine, absolute cruised into this at Huntingdon. Gary and Josh Moore, not many runners at Fontwell on Boxing Day. That's always a hint for me. And they've got a couple over at, I think this is at Market, wherever I said this horse is running. Where was he again? He's at Wincanton. There's a lot more to come off his current mark. He was impressive here. Snug victory. He's only gone up £6 to that. Next up is Chuggy. This guy is quite easy to make a case for, just improving at a rapid rate of knots for the Skelton. He was rated 100 when he won at Utoxeter, then off 106 at Warwick on his first start there, 115 when he hacked up here. He's now off 126. Only 4 runners in that, though. Looks a weak race. I think Juby Ball is the main rival. So I think Chuggy has lots in the favour there for the Skeltons. A couple of others to mention include this horse, who was a heartbreaker for me last time out at Wetherby. This is Athair Moore. Goes again in the 12:27. Should have won. The horse who wins it in the end pulls itself up the Jad factor just after the line. I think there's still a lot more to come off just a £3 higher mark. So I'm hoping that I'll have no Christmas heartbreak from Athair Moore. I don't know if I want to watch this ending again. The Jad Factory gets in front, then he goes no mass. But that horse, I think there's a lot more still to come. And then one more to mention from, and then the last one is absolutely Doyen. Nichols runs this one in the 3:13 at Wincanton. It was supposed to run at Sandown, I think, when we filmed the last form, but didn't. 3 from 3 for Nichols, up to 1, 2, 3 now. Oh, there could be plenty in hand from that horse. So absolutely Doyen makes a pill in that. So there you go. You've got a Thermore in the 12:27. Confusion, as I mentioned earlier, in the Rowland Meyrick. The Nap is Rip Wheeler. Chuggy, absolutely Doyen. And then the O'Neill team are in good form. So Country Park, if you want to banker in the 12:50 at Sedgefield, that horse would have won probably last time out if their horses were firing. Right, that's a look at all the action. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks very much to Katie and Ash for their company. Hopefully one of us can at least find the King George winner, and do enjoy all the action over the Christmas period. Thanks to Ash and Katie, and thanks for watching all the action on the Formbook so far this year. One more show before the new year, previewing Cheltenham on New Year's Day. But for the time being, wishing you all a very Merry Christmas and have a happy and healthy one. And good luck. And remember to gamble responsibly.